Resident Evil 5 has quite a few interesting things about it lurking just under the surface if you should so happen to scratch it. However, one of the most interesting and least known would probably be the story of a man named Adam, a quarry worker in the city of Kijuju during the time of the Kijuju incident in 2009. Adam's story doesn't actually take place in the game, but instead on a real-world website called Blogger. Adam's blogs recount his time during the events leading up to the Kijuju incident and provide us insight into some of the things that Chris and Sheva will encounter during their time in Africa.
Welcome to Africa. My name is Sheva Alama.
Chris Redfield.
Your reputation precedes you, Mr. Redfield. It's an honor.
Just Chris, thanks. So you'll be a...
Adam's blogs consist of 14 posts, beginning in December of 2008 and proceeding through March of 2009. The first of these blogs isn't anything special. Adam talks about issues he's had setting up his blog account and tells us about the two most important things in his life: alcohol and women. The second post, however, is where things really begin to open up. Adam begins by telling us about what it's like working for the mine, about how his boss is an idiot, and the best part of his day is when it's over. What's more interesting, however, is the woman that he sees that day. He's stunned by her beauty, but doesn't have the courage to talk to her. This intrigue carries over to the third post, where he thinks about this woman, learning that she has a boyfriend, but that the boyfriend hasn't been showing up to work lately. Adam musing that this probably means that he's not paying enough attention to her either. The next post, however, takes a completely different turn as Adam finds a decapitated dog while walking down the back streets of Kijuju. He hypothesizes about where this dog could have come from, who could have killed it, and why, eventually coming to the conclusion that it must have been the butcher, since the body of the dog is right beside the butcher's shop. This is the first time that Adam really considers that something might be happening in the town. The next post, entitled Merry Christmas, is one of the more lengthy posts. It talks about a few of Adam's closest friends getting pulled away to go work at another dig site. This is a harsh turn of events for Adam, since these men were his drinking buddies and he goes to his favorite bar to drown his sorrows. However, as luck would have it, the woman that he's been thinking about happens to come into the bar that night, and after a few drinks, he builds up the courage to approach her. The two talk for a while about the state of Kijuju, her telling him that this town has been scaring her lately and that she can feel it changing. She also tells Adam about her boyfriend, who apparently went into work one day and hasn't returned home since. The conversation eventually runs its course and she leaves the bar, Adam considering this evening a win, failing to pick up on the souring tone of the town around him. However, this begins to dawn on him as he returns home from the New Year's holiday, telling his family about some of the things that he's seen in Kijuju and the overall vibe of the people there. They tell him that they want him to stay home, not to return to Kijuju. Adam, however, shrugs off their worries, thinking that the money is too good to give up his position. But after he returns to the town, he begins to wonder if he made the right decision. The next post in the blog is where things really start to heat up for the town of Kijuju and for Adam. While out at his favorite bar, Adam runs into the beautiful woman again and finds out that her name is Allison. The two begin talking and drinking, but are interrupted by a man in sunglasses yelling something about foreigners. The belligerence of the sunglasses-wearing man eventually leads to an all-out bar brawl, with Adam fleeing with Allison to his apartment, where she cries throughout the rest of the night, eventually leaving in the morning. This night certainly worried Adam, but it wasn't until the next post that he truly became scared. Waking up to the sound of angry shouting outside of his window, a crowd had amassed in the town center, and the man in the sunglasses from the bar was speaking to them. Adam also saw a pile of burlap sacks stacked tall in the center of the area, and when the man in sunglasses instructed for them to be burned, he noticed one of the sacks fall from the pile, flames eating through the burlap, and the corpse of a man fell out.
You don't know what you're talking about! You can all go to hell!
Wait a minute. That's the...
The next post, entitled Lost Friends, talks about another angry mob, but this time Adam notices someone in the crowd, one of the men who had been called away to work at another dig site, one of his drinking buddies. This would suggest that these men were called away to be infected with Las Plagas, probably suggesting Allison's boyfriend was a casualty to the parasite as well. And speaking of Allison, in the next post, she shows up on Adam's doorstep. She tells Adam that her hotel was ransacked by an angry mob, the mob dragging people out of their rooms and into the streets, yelling anti-foreigner slogans. Allison had managed to escape the building and come to Adam's place, but her nerves were shot, jumping every time the man with sunglasses would speak from the pedestal erected in the town square. The next two posts describe the continuing escalation in Kijuju. The man in sunglasses begins to hold public executions in the town square to a cheering crowd. Adam sees people dragged into the alleyways, investigating and believing that he sees one man eating another. And when help finally does arrive in the form of the army, they merely build barricades around the town, not allowing anyone to leave and killing those who attempt. This waiting around finally gets to Allison, and 3 weeks after arriving at Adam's, she leaves in the dead of the night. In a post entitled "I'd drink if I could find a bar," he recounts Allison asking if the mines in which he worked could be a potential escape from the town. He didn't think anything of it at the time, but now he believes that she's attempting to escape underground. Adam considers going after her, but the sadness and loneliness that he feels is outweighed by the fear. The final post on Adam's blog is entitled "Help at Last," and recounts the arrival of 2 BSAA agents who enter the town square and fight off the angry mob that's been keeping Adam in fear for these last few months.
Hapo ndani! Wawe wote! Wacha wawe toleo ya damu ya njia zetu! Wawe!
While we may never see Adam in the actual game, and don't really know what became of him in the end, his story gives us several very interesting details that you wouldn't otherwise know without it. Starting first with the headless goat that Chris and Sheva encounter shortly after their rendezvous with Renard Fisher. This scene is the exact same one that's shown in Adam's blog post, Something in the Air. But while Adam saw a dog, Sheva and Chris encounter a goat. It's odd for the dead animals to be located in the exact same location, but definitely gives more context to the circumstance. Another interesting thing to come out of these posts is the man in the sunglasses. While we don't really have much interaction with him, other than him ordering the murder of Renard Fisher, it gives an even bigger reason to kill him, knowing that he was such an integral part of organizing this mob and tormenting those who hadn't yet been infected, such as Adam and Allison. And finally, Allison herself. If you didn't recognize her from the picture in the blog, we do actually encounter Allison during the events of Resident Evil 5. In Chapter 1-2, you'll see Allison begging you for help before being dragged into the building that she's just escaped from. And upon entering the building, you'll face her as the first Cephalo of the game. It's a very interesting encounter if you know the backstory of it, and quite sad to see this poor young woman be in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Hey, what's wrong? Be careful, they may still be here.